Well, everyone, that's a wrap from the Innsworth School here in Nashville. The Grizzlies have put 3 days of hard work and training camp into the season right now. Now, what's next? The open practice on Sunday, the preseason opener on Monday. This is the Grizzlies training camp coverage presented by OrthoSouth. I'm joined by Damichael Cole from the Commercial Appeal. Damichael, we've been here all 3 days. We've heard messages from just about everybody, from coaches all the way through the roster in terms of players. What's one of the biggest takeaways that you saw from the Grizzlies during this training camp here?
The intensity, just how business minded this group is this year. You know, the days of all the trash talking and, it just feels like that's the past. It feels like that is the old Grizzlies, and they've transformed into this new era, and you don't hear much of that. Everyone has this same mentality of, we got to prove what we think we believe. We're not telling y'all what we really believe, but you're going to see it based on the way we carry ourselves. And that's kind of the sense that I'm getting, even like with the talk about, I'm sure some of the things like the new offense, the defensive intensity, they're not saying things like we're going to do all this crazy, we're not going to score 130 points, all that. They're just saying, you'll see, it's a different, I think, outlook. And all the players that we pretty much talked to, Brandon Clark, Luke Kennard, I think there have been a couple more guys too have said that this year's training camp has been different than the ones in the past.
Well, even the leaders, Ja Morant, Desmond Bane, those guys have talked about how much this is a more business-like approach, that this team is focused. They've been focused in previous seasons as well too, but there's just a little bit more maturity, professional maturity when you talk about this. Now, one of the things you want to do when you emerge from camp, you want to be relatively unscathed, and you want to implement what you have on offense and defense. The Grizzlies didn't get out scot-free in terms of injuries. We do know Jaren Jackson Jr. Does have the low-grade hamstring strain. He's basically going to be day-to-day, week-to-week. We'll see what it means for his availability throughout the preseason. But I can tell you this much. On day 3 here, Jaren Jackson was still walking around with his teammates. He had his athletic gear on. He's going through his rehab, and he's looking good. But as the Grizzlies move forward, no G.G. Jackson, obviously no Vince Williams Jr., no Jaren Jackson Jr. for the foreseeable future. How much of an opportunity is it going to be for other guys to step up?
It's a huge opportunity, and it's a couple guys that just come to mind to me that we've heard these names. Jake LaRavia is the main one. That was the one at Media Day. We were talking to Marcus Smart, and I asked him, who's that next guy defensively that can, maybe replicate some of the things that you do, or Vince Williams and things like that. And he didn't hesitate. He said Jake LaRavia. And then it wasn't just him. You hear Luke Kennard, say the words Jake LaRavia. And then you hear other people. Taylor Jenkins talked about, the focus level that he's brought to camp this year. And this is a big year for him. Jake LaRavia came in. Him and David Roddy were the first-round picks a couple years back. David Roddy ain't here anymore.
Yeah.
So this is an opportunity for him to kind of show that, one, he belongs, and two, show it consistently. We've seen it, in stretches at times. But this is his chance to consistently show it, especially with Vince Williams out. There is an opportunity for a wing, specifically a bigger wing. Yeah. And so far in camp, as Taylor Jenkins said, he's been one of the more impressive players.
And then you go back down to that front line. Obviously, you bring in 7'4", 290, not 300.
290.
Because he will tell you he dropped
man.
these 10 pounds. He's a lot more efficient and lean. Zach Edey came in and made quite an impression through 3 days of camp here. When you look at Zach Edey, and now even a guy like Asante Aldama, who gets a chance to step up with Jaren Jackson Jr. nursing a hamstring injury, how important was this week for a rookie like Zach Edey getting installed?
It's huge. And when it comes to Zach Edey, rookies in particular, the one thing that you always want to instill in rookies is that confidence. These dudes are super talented. They didn't make it to the NBA because they don't have talent, but the biggest separator from rookies is always the most confident rookies are the ones who become the most prepared, and they stand out. And when I think of Zach Edey, how can he not be confident? Because every player, they're not putting too much on him, but everyone has clearly said how important he is to this team. And if you're a rookie and all these guys are basically telling you, we need you.
Yeah.
Like, you got to be like, I belong.
Yes.
And when you feel like you belong at this level, that's step one. And, the talent is there. Everybody keeps talking about him unprovoked. Like, we don't even have to bring him up, and they're talking about him. So I think this has been a big opportunity for him. And it's the confidence, and not even from talking to him. It's more so just everyone else basically saying, we need this guy, and him. I feel like he feels that.
And he's responding. And we can't get out of here without telling you guys how much we enjoyed Yuki time.
Yeah,
we both saw how Yuki has been able to impact this team, his energy. There's word that on day 3 during training camp here, he led the team in offensive rebounds at 5'8".
Yeah.
So just the kind of impact that the Japanese national team star is having on this roster. He had a conglomerate of Asian media here watching him. He spoke all 3 days during training camp after practices. Just the Yuki phenomenon. What have you experienced from that?
It was fun. Just to kind of see that take place. But, watching him, It's always interesting to me, how do the shorter guys, the 5'8", 5'9", 5'10" guys, how do you make your way in the NBA? You can't just do what everyone else does. You have to do something different in particular to kind of stand out. And a lot of 6'1", 6'2" guards, you're not going to see them crashing the way that 5'8" guard is. I mean, we heard it from multiple players. We didn't bring up, hey, who stood out as offensive rebounders today? No, Brandon Clark said it. Luke Kennard both said that he was crashing the glass. And they got some giants down there. Santi Aldama, 6'11". Zach Edey, 7'4". Jay Huff is 7'1", 7'2". Like, they got some real giants on this team. And for him at 5'8", even getting past the 6'2", 6'3" guards, because those dudes, Scottie Pippen Jr. and John Morant, are very athletic. So,
absolutely.
I mean, it's been fun to watch. And I tell you what, I can't wait to see him, like, when we get some of that action in third, fourth quarter, because he's a good passer. I want to see him make some of those flashy passes that get that crowd, late in the game when they're eating that popcorn, they're winding down, and they just go, ooh. Like, he has some of that ability.
And the Grizzlies fans are going to see it now. After we leave from Nashville, they're heading back to Memphis on Friday. Saturday, they'll get a workout in. And then Sunday, it's the open practice presented by Ortho South ahead of Monday's preseason opener on the road against the Dallas Mavericks. From the Innsworth School here in Nashville, for Damichael Cole, I'm Michael Wallace. Thanks for keeping it locked on all of our Grizzlies training camp coverage presented by Ortho South.